You know, there's one pie in this whole world that I consider to be one of the greatest inventions of all time. This is it. But we're not gonna stop there. I've got a little something special that we're gonna do with it too. Let's go on a little journey. So today we're making one of my favorite pies of all time. All through my childhood, this was the pie to have. I was always a picky eater when I was a kid, even when it came to pie. I never liked lemon pies. I never liked chocolate pies. Obviously that's changed now, but pecan pie is still at the forefront as my favorite pie ever. Now we're gonna do three things here. I'm gonna show you how to make an incredible pie crust quite easily. We're obviously the pecan pie. And then third, I'm gonna show you what to do with the leftovers of pecan pie. Anyway, with all that said, let's make this, shall we? Okay, real quick, I have to stop you. We're in LA right now. We came to see a couple of homies. By the way, we have been tested multiple times. Since this is a pie video, I just wanna let everybody know that I also did a pie video with Cody Co, which will be going up on his channel. The link will be in the description on Friday. So keep your eyes peeled. So we're gonna begin making our masterpiece with, well, a pie crust. I'm not a fan of crustless pie, right? They make Papa angry. Anyway, this is ultra easy and it needs only 5 ingredients. Start by mixing together 2 1/4 cup or 337 grams of all-purpose flour with 1 1/4 teaspoon or 8 grams of fine sea salt and 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of granulated sugar. Give that some good old whiskey business and place that mixture in a food processor. Add in 1 cup or 225 grams of very cold unsalted butter, which by the way has been cut into evenly sized cubes. Evenly sized butter means evenly sized aeration in the final product. Pulse that anywhere from 4 to 8 times. God dang it, I didn't plug it in. Or until you get some evenly dispersed pea-sized balls in the flour. And if you don't have a food processor, don't worry, a pastry blender or 2 forks work just fine. Then from there, using a fork, mix in 1/2 cup or 120 milliliters of ice water. Obviously, I strain out the ice so I didn't get any cube particles in there. Now, as soon as it forms a shaggy dough, pour it out onto a lightly floured work surface and knead for a few seconds and until you get a dough that holds itself together nicely like this. Don't over knead or the butter will melt and that's bad. Then wrap it in plastic wrap and rest it in the fridge for 15 to 20 minutes. Next, dust a work surface lightly with flour, dump out your dough, and using a rolling pin, roll your dough out nice and wide or until it's a little over 1/4 of an inch thick, looking like this. It should be nice and wide, and you'll likely need to dust it a few times while doing so. Once that's the correct size, gently fold your dough in half, then in half again to get this triangular piece. Center the point of your dough triangle into the center of a lightly greased 9x2 pie dish. Unfold and unfold again. It's a neat little pie dough transfer trick. I don't know, it just works really well. Then press your pie dough into the pie mold, filling out every little crevice, letting the dough overhang do its thing. Because you know, pie overhang is like life. It's not worth focusing on the stuff that's not doing what you want it to. Instead, focus on what you can and need to be focusing on in that moment. In this case, you're gonna press the dough into the mold evenly. Then you're going to address the overhang by trimming it all around the perimeter. Then, finally, using your fingers, press and pinch a nice crimp along the entire edge to make a beautifully crimped pie dough. See? Like life, but more buttery. From here, you'll cover your pie with plastic wrap and rest it in the fridge while you make your pie filling. You can also rest it overnight. Now, in a medium-sized bowl, crack in 3 whole medium eggs, whisk those eggs prematurely, and then add 1/4 cup or 75 grams of maple syrup, 1 cup or 300 grams of light corn syrup, 3/4 of a teaspoon or 2 grams of fine sea salt, 3/4 of a cup or 190 grams of dark brown sugar, 1 tablespoon or 13 grams of vanilla extract, and finally, whisk and stream in 1/4 cup or 56 grams of melted unsalted butter. That's melted, not boiling hot, just barely melted. Then just whisk all that together until thoroughly combined. Separately, you're gonna rough chop 2 1/2 cups or 287 grams of raw pecans. They're gonna toast in the oven, so raw is the best choice here. And don't chop them too rough, they should look like this. It's a rough chop, not a mince. Kisses from Papa. Now grab your chilled pie crust, evenly spread out your chopped pecans in the bottom of it, then pour in all of your filling to fill that brother up. Then just gently pop that into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for 40 to 50 minutes or until the pie is set and the top is lightly domed. Optionally, halfway through its cook, you can brush it with buttermilk for more golden edges and tent with foil if it starts to get too dark. Then just pull out your pie and let it cool completely to room temp. I found that this is most enjoyable served either at room temp or completely chilled. Then all you gotta do is cut your pie. I prefer to pop mine out of the pie dish for easier slicing. Slice the size of your choice, plate it up, add a nice fat quenelle of whipped cream, give it a light dusting of ground cinnamon for a little culinary flair, and go on a pie journey that you shan't forget. Now, we made our pie, but what do we do with pie leftovers? So the simple answer is, well, you can eat it, but if you want to get a bit more creative, use my McFlurry custard base, place it in an ice cream maker that ideally works, begin churning it, and as soon as that ice cream gets to about 85% of the way done, take a couple slices of your leftover pie, remove the crust and place it to the side, then finally chop up just the pie portion. Add that finely chopped pie to your churning ice cream base, crush up the pie crust that you reserved, then as soon as your ice cream is done churning, place it in a piping bag and pipe it into a nice glass or bowl. Get it nice and tall. Sprinkle on your crushed pie crust and enjoy a beautiful cup of pecan pie soft serve. Yes. This and this pecan pie in 2 forms? What? I mean, it's a classic. An instant classic. Fireworks. The Christmas tree is up. Mom and dad are making out by the fireplace and it's really uncomfortable. This is a pecan pie, gosh darn it. It's got all the classic flavors that you want, yet elevated, and it has that slight maple syrup flavor to it. The crust is flaky and salty and buttery. I don't know what else to tell you, and this is a gosh darn perfect pie. This is the real subject we want to talk about. Pecan pie, bourbon ice cream. We got a little bit of the pie crust crumbled on top. This is basically the McFlurry. I mean, I'm not gonna take another bite because I need TJ to come taste this. Vikram's like, what about me? Jesus Christ, that's like too big.
I immediately taste the bourbon.
Yep.
That's good.
No, wait, don't take another bite. Now it's Vikram's turn. That's a funny spoon. That did something. We did something with that.
I could drink that whole
We
thing.
did something,
You did
with,
something
that.
with that.
The funny thing
man.
is it's such a low effort way to deal with leftovers with this. You just crush it up and put it in ice cream. You don't understand, okay? We're not just putting pecan pie in ice cream. We're elevating ice cream to a place that it has been before, but if you haven't experienced it, it's genuinely life-changing. This is the perfect pie of pecan 2 ways. You wanna know what else is chewy, sweet, and full of nuts? B-roll. And that is it. So we made our lovely pecan pie. It had a gorgeous crust, nice and flaky, shiny, crunchy, crisp, salty, buttery, rich, and yet light at the same time. And obviously the filling was nuts. It's really not as sweet as you expect it to be. Yes, it's sweet, but there's a certain necessity to that that counterbalances the bitterness of the nut and the fattiness of it all. It cuts through the richness and it also lifts it at the same time. This is the perfect pie. I've said it before, I'll say it again. And I hope that the ending was somewhat helpful to show you what you can do with leftover pie. That's applicable to many other pies too, give or take some ingredients. But anyway, with all that said, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.